What is power interest stakeholder analysis? All projects involve stakeholders who are interested in the project or are affected by the project outcomes. The project team need to work closely with the stakeholders and take account of their views where possible. However, it can be difficult to decide how much time and attention should be given to each stakeholder. No stakeholder should be ignored completely, but the approach taken to engage with each stakeholder will differ depending on two factors. First, their level of interest in the project, and second, the amount of power or influence they wield with regard to both the project work and outcomes. The power interest grid is a technique used to analyse stakeholders and determine the engagement strategy to be applied when working with different individuals or groups. The power interest grid is based upon two axes. The y-axis represents the level of power influence a stakeholder has with regard to the project, while the x-axis represents the level of interest the stakeholder has with regard to the project. Stakeholders are either plotted on the grid as individuals or as groups. Senior managers are likely to be considered as individual stakeholders, whereas teams of business staff are more likely to be considered as a group. Once the stakeholders have been plotted on the power interest grid, we can decide how to engage with each stakeholder. Shown here are the appropriate stakeholder management strategies to be used depending on where the stakeholders are placed on the grid. Starting at the bottom, we have those with no or low interest and no or low power influence. The overall strategy is to ignore these stakeholders for the time being. However, as positions can change throughout the course of a project, it's probably wise to inform them occasionally about what's going on. Stakeholders with some or high interest, but no or low power influence, are an important group to consider and manage, as they are affected by the changes but are likely to be powerless to influence them. Therefore, the best strategy is to keep them informed of the proposed changes and the reasoning behind them. Next, we have stakeholders with no or low to high interest, but some power influence. We want to keep these stakeholders on side. The best approach is to keep them supportive of the project, possibly through frequent positive communication, but perhaps also by involving them more with the work of the project. At the top left of the grid, we have stakeholders with no or low interest but high power influence. These stakeholders are usually at such a senior level that the project is of little interest to them. However, ignoring them is a risky approach because external factors may rouse their interest, which might cause them to intervene and exert their influence on the project. Because of this, we should always keep an eye on them, and if they do become more interested in the project, we should address their needs directly, possibly through one-to-one meetings. For those with some interest in the project and high power influence, the usual strategy is to keep them satisfied so that they are happy with the progress and allow the project to continue without them taking a more direct and potentially obstructive interest in the project. However, there may be circumstances where their support would be helpful, in which case the strategy may be precisely the opposite, to engage these stakeholders so that they are more actively involved in the project. The final stakeholder group concerns those with high interest in the project and high power influence. These are the key players, the people who are both interested in the project and have the power to direct the work. Initially, we need to determine if they are positive or negative in their approach to the project. If positive, then their enthusiasm and support must be sustained and exploited where necessary. If they are negatively inclined towards the project, influencing strategies will need to be deployed. A helpful approach is to identify some benefits for them personally from the project approach or outcomes. If this isn't possible, it will be necessary to identify a more powerful stakeholder who can help manage any issues they raise. Stakeholder positions are very likely to change over the lifetime of the project. For example, their interest may increase as the project outcomes become clearer, or their power may increase because of the change of job role. Anyone working on a business change or IT project would benefit from using the power interest grid to help engage effectively with stakeholders. This should be done both at the outset of the project and on an ongoing basis. Thanks for watching this video by Assist KD. For more videos like this, see our channel or check out our website.